Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Sitting here right now, it's almost been 17 years that I have now been a vegan, and I have to tell you that this was the best decision I have ever made in my life, because since that day I have been able to sleep every single night peacefully, knowing that no animal had to be killed for me to lead my life or me to pursue my dreams.
Continue watching to find out more.
Lasa Kusa means welcome. Compassionate viewers, I'm Malvika. The friendly people of Limbuwan wish you have a peace and loving day. Loving viewers, today we're sharing the achievements and successes of a courageous and noble man, Mr. Kuntal Joisher, the world's first vegan to scale Mount Everest. His climbing journey of the Himalayas started in 2009. With his persistent determination and fortitude, Mr. Kuntal stood on the top of Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, in May 2016 from the Nepal side, and again successfully in 2019 from the China side. With these remarkable victories, he became the first person in the world to ascend an 8,000-meter high mountain on a 100% vegan diet. Having the ethical root of vegetarianism in his family, Mr. Kuntal was compassionate from early life, and in 2002, he chose to become a vegan. Let's hear how and why he decided to hold his life to a higher standard.
I was born and raised as a vegetarian in a Hindu family, so I always thought that I was a compassionate person, because as a vegetarian I was not doing any harm to the animals, and that's how I pretty much lived my entire life until 21 years old. And then in 2001, I moved to California to pursue my further studies. Now my roommate was an ethical vegetarian. So every time we went to do grocery shopping and I would buy, let's say, something like an ice cream, or I would buy something like a leather belt, or I would buy something like a chocolate, he would say, but this has eggs in it, but this has, this in it. And I would always tell him, well, what's the problem with eggs? What's the problem with leather? What's the problem with wool? And so he started sharing with me a lot of literature about the horrors of the dairy industry, horrors of the egg industry, horrors of the leather industry. And I started researching a lot on these items. Now, the moment I made the connection that there was really no difference between a piece of leather, piece of cheese, a glass of milk, or a piece of beef, once I made that connection, I was very clear that I had to do something about this. That as a vegetarian, I thought that I was a compassionate person, but I'm not a compassionate person at all. And that only way to move forward was to go vegan, because that was the only way that I would be compassionate. So next morning I woke up and said that I have to take a stand for animals, that I have to take a stand for our fellow inhabitants of the planet, and that I'm going to be a vegan. And it was just overnight that I turned vegan. sitting here right now, it's almost been 17 years that I have now been a vegan, and I have to tell you that this was the best decision I have ever made in my life, because since that day I have been able to sleep every single night peacefully, knowing that no animal had to be killed for me to lead my life or me to pursue my dreams.
Mr. Kuntal also shares with us why he is passionate about mountaineering and how he feels about the Himalayas.
Until 2009, I had never even climbed a mountain in my life. Forget climbing a mountain, even if I had to climb one floor, I would actually not climb that one floor. I would actually take a elevator. That's how I was. But it was a chance encounter in 2009 where I actually found that climbing mountains was the calling of my life. I still remember when I stood on top of the first mountain of my life, it was so quiet that I could actually hear my own heartbeat. And in that moment, sometimes you are in this mode in life where you are constantly planning for the future, you are constantly pondering over the mistakes that you have made in the past. And in all this, you forget that the present moment is going away in front of you. But when I was standing on the top, the present moment came into extreme focus and I was able to live in that moment. And for the first time in my life, I truly felt alive. And when I was standing on the top of that mountain, I told myself that for rest of the life, I'm going to chase this state of mind, because I wanted to feel alive for the rest of my life. That's where my mountain climbing journey started. If you ask me, what's this drive? Imagine waking up in the morning and nothing else other than mountain climbing making sense in your life. I may sound very selfish, I may sound very self-centered here, but no relationships, not even your father, not even your mother, not even your wife, nothing in the life makes sense other than mountains. It's that level of drive.
Kind-hearted viewers, let us go out and do some stretching exercises. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Warm-hearted viewers, welcome back to our program. Every mountaineer will have a model or inspiration in their heart, as does Mr. Kuntal.
One person who has very much inspired me throughout the entire journey is a guy called Ed Wiesturs. Ed is an American vegan mountaineer and currently the only American mountaineer who has climbed to the top of 14 8,000 meter mountains without using supplemental oxygen. And one of the key things that I have learned from Ed is the concept of no shortcuts to the top. That you have to go through the entire journey, you have to be highly planned, you have to be prepared, you have to build enough experience, you have to have the right training, you have to have the right mental makeup, the right discipline. And only after going through all these things, you go and embark on the final journey to make it to the top. You have to put in the hard work, you have to put in the time, you have to have the focus, and only then make it to the top.
Mr. Kuntal regards the Himalayas or Mount Everest as entities that decide whether your quest will be a success or a failure. According to him, mountains cannot be conquered.
First of all, mountains cannot be conquered. It's simply impossible to conquer mountains. If I say, or if someone says that they went and conquered Mount Everest, that is a factually incorrect statement. Mount Everest simply cannot be conquered. It is always the mountain that decides whether you are going to make it to the top. So it was during this journey that I overcame so many of my self-doubts, so many of my limitations, and I conquered myself. I did not conquer Mount Everest, but I conquered myself. I conquered all those fears in me, I conquered all those doubts in me, and I conquered all those limitations in me. So that was through the journey of climbing Mount Everest.
Most people will likely think that climbing the highest mountain in the world is a great adventure. But Mr. Kuntal believes the word adventure is also applicable to everyday life by people everywhere.
It's just small things where you can go outside your comfort zone and you can find some adventure in that. So imagine you having to give a talk in front of about 100 people and you have never done that in your life. That's what I call adventure, because that's doing something that you have never done before in your life, going outside your comfort zone, breaking boundaries, breaking limits, and actually going and doing it. You may not know what the result of that action may be, but that's what I call adventure. And this can be done by every single person on this planet. You don't have to go, as I said, to a mountain or to to see or to do something crazy to bring adventure in your life. Small, simple things can also be adventure in your life, and that's why I call adventure a lifestyle choice.
We salute Mr. Kuntal for his daring and determination. His brave actions are an inspiration to us all. May all the mountaineers in the world embrace a safe and blessed journey. For more information on Kuntal Joisher, please visit kuntaljoisher.com. Compassionate viewers, it was our pleasure to have you with us today. Coming up next is The Final Battle, Part 3 of 4, on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May you and all beings live in peace and love.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VE.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/VE.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/VE.
हमारे कार्यक्रम पेश किए जाते हैं कई भाषाओं में। कृपया देखें suprememastertv.com/schedule और suprememastertv.com/VE।